Today is my younger brother Andy's 28th birthday. So I figured today I would make a video about brothers. Now brothers, you know, they're very similar, but they can also be very different people as well. And this applies to me and my younger brother Andy. Come on. Now Andy, I guess I was about 5 years old and 5 years and 7 weeks old when you were born. I was very excited because, you know, I had a brother, a younger brother. I can remember when Mom and Dad brought you home. I remember I would have to watch over you in your bassinet sometimes. Dad would be at work. Mom would be outside working in the garden. And if you were to wake up and start crying, I would always have to run out on the porch. And I'd holler for Mom, saying that the baby's crying. I know as we got older, as we grew up, we were always together. You know, we always were. We lived together. We slept in bunk beds together because our house was small and we shared bunk beds. You slept on the top and I slept on the bottom. We always had a lot of the same interests, you know. We both loved playing chess. We both loved getting out in the yard or in the creek. We loved to garden. We loved to throw baseball and football. And we also loved playing hockey out in the backyard with our hockey sticks. Like I said, we had so many of the same similar interests. We were also natured similar. We were both curious about things. We both could be mean sometimes. I know I picked on you often. Nothing too cruel or anything, but you know, just had to keep you in line sometimes. And sometimes when you got the chance, you got the better of me as well. I remember one time when I think I was about 12 years old, I'd been picking on you. We had been in the living room playing a game and I'd just been picking on you over and over. And you waited though, patiently. I was sitting in between the love seat and the monitor heater and there was a little area, a little empty space there. And you waited until you threw something over there. You were very smart. You threw something over there from the game board and I crawled over there to get it. And as I had my head stuck in between there, you pounced, started beating on my head. And I couldn't really do nothing because I was stuck. I know Mom and Dad just laughed at me. Which, I mean, you wasn't hurting me or really bad or anything, but you got the better of me. You were very smart. One thing that I always envied you for, Andy, was that it seems like you were always the talented one. Even from a young age, you were extremely talented in anything you did. You were the musician out of the both of us. You know how to play guitar and you know how to play piano some. You taught yourself. We both played baseball and football. I had to work really hard. I wasn't good at baseball when I started playing it when I was a kid. It wasn't until I got in 8th grade that I got to be good at it. And it took years. I had to work very hard at it. You were good at it the first time you picked up a baseball bat when you were 4. You were good at football the first time you ever played it. See, you were always the talented one. I always had to work to be good at something, but you were just natural. Another thing I always envied about you is that you just didn't care. You were You did what you wanted to do when you were a child. Even if mom and dad were fussing at you a lot about it, you just didn't care. You weren't a bad kid, but you just did what you wanted to do. I remember when you were young, before you could talk, Dad, he would call you Monkey. And him and our great-grandpa and grandpa, they always said that they wouldn't never be able to do anything with you. And that's true. You did what you wanted to do. You also could make everybody laugh hysterically in our family. I would be jealous of this, but I was there laughing too, and I always enjoyed it. I know that another story is about the time, well, I won't tell that story right now, but it was really hilarious. I think we talked about it over the holidays, about you getting in the drugstore and sticking a toilet plunger to the toilet. I'll just go ahead and tell it. He stuck a toilet plunger to the tile floor. He loved doing this when we went to grocery stores and yanking them up. He was only about 4. And I would just sit there dying laughing at him. And this time though, he ripped up the tile off the floor with the plunger. Like it was stuck. He's like, Dave, I can't get it. I can't get it. He pulls it and it breaks it in half, like a bunch of pieces. And I'm just like, oh shit. Mom was on another aisle. It was just the small community drugstore where we lived. I was like, Andy, put the plunger up, and I started putting the pieces of the tile back together, even though it was broken, so maybe the subterfuge would last. We didn't get in trouble before it because, of course, I didn't tell Mom about it. It was funny. You know, our lives, they follow different trajectories, in a way. And as I mentioned, we are very similar, but we are also very different. Brothers fight sometimes. I know you were always the better fighter though. I know when you were younger I would pick on you sometimes, but I realized when I was 21 and you were 16 that I wasn't the bigger brother anymore. I might be older, but I wasn't bigger. I know me and you and some of our friends, we were out in the yard at the house. We were having UFC matches. We were just wrestling matches. We wasn't punching each other or anything, but I know it was me and you up against each other, and we started wrestling around, and I got you down to the ground pretty quick. I had you pinned down. But all of a sudden, by this time you were already taller than me. You have the longest legs of any human being I've ever seen. You're like a grasshopper. But somehow, as I had you pinned down there, you wrestled, you got your shins, your legs up under my arms, and you rolled me backwards and got me pinned down, and I couldn't do anything. That's when I realized I wasn't the bigger brother anymore. You know, you're like 6'1" or 6'2". I'm only 5'9". So, you've got that reach on me. I know a few years ago, that time we got into a fight on the porch at the house. That was a brutal fight. It was horrible. Brothers will try to kill each other if they're fighting, if they are mad enough. I remember Dad saying this to me after he was in the hospital at the time. He had wrecked his motorcycle, and me and Andy got into a fight on the porch. I've never beat on someone like that in my life, but I, myself, have never been beat on by anyone else like that in my life. Honest to say, he got the better of me. It's pretty, was concussed. Both of us, I believe, had concussions. We was both bloodied up a little bit, bruised up. I was getting him good in the first half, but his size came into play the second half, and he's got the reach. Needless to say, I didn't want any more after a couple of minutes. But the next morning I came down there and I apologized, because you are my brother and I love you, and I couldn't stay mad at you more than a few minutes. you know, Mom and Dad, they're really proud of you. Both. They're very proud of you. You're about to become a father. You're going to have a daughter here in a few weeks, you and Holly. They're very proud of you. I know I sure am. So I hope you have a happy birthday, Andy. I love you. And I'll see you soon. Thank y'all for watching. Bye-bye.